All right, we're back on another episode of Salient Points number 90. I heard that little sniff, Dalen. Okay, let's get the show started.
Immediately gonna take notes, but I
Dalen,
have to remove that one.
Dalen, we had like 5 minutes for you to get ready, man, and you said no. Let me hold on to this. Let me get that little sniff in there right at the beginning.
Sniffles alone. It's 39 degrees and dropping. Okay,
I see the coat. I see the coat going on. The Nilla wafers keeping you warm over there. But by the way, Carlos Macias, what am I the master of this week, Dalen?
This week you'll be the master of Chia Pets.
The master of Chia Pets, indeed. All right, Carlos Macias, master of Chia Pets. Thank you, Dalen Kirkwood, from up in the mountains for joining us. I know you're freezing your buttocks off, so who's our sponsor this week, Dalen?
This week it's a good classic Nilla wafers.
Okay, do they have other flavors for the Nilla wafers?
Probably somewhere in the world, but I just like my originals.
Okay, all right, and then we also got Deo Blas straight from the driveway. Right, straight from the driveway. By the way,
fresh off the driveway.
Okay, we'll make it a little ratio on that one, right? But yeah, I know, Dale, you just kind of made it in, right? Just in the nick of time. I hope you didn't leave your wife in the car or leave your groceries in the car or anything like that.
The engine's running, you tuck and rolled into the house.
I don't even remember if I closed the garage.
Oh snaps!
It'll be fine. You
got a little app to show you? Okay, all right, it'll be fine.
It'll figure itself out somehow.
It's a safe neighborhood for the king of Mid-Bay, right? I would assume. Luis Mendez on the wheels of steel. Luis, you were supposed to be at a Clipper Utah game, man, so you're kind of skipping out on the game today, right? Or no?
Yeah, I mean, okay. That one was gonna be a if. We'll see.
It should be good.
If it's just gonna be me going, it's like Paul George is out. Who cares, man?
Okay, that's true. But thank you for showing up, because I know that's probably gonna be an okay game, but we'll see. Because the Utah Jazz have definitely not gotten the memo of like, we're supposed to be tanking. We traded everybody. These guys are trying hard, man. Dalen's like, what are sports? Dalen, but we'll get right into it this week. We'll get right into it, Dalen. The headline this week. There wasn't anything too crazy, but one thing that kind of popped up yesterday was the fact that Microsoft offered Sony a deal to keep the Call of Duty franchise on PlayStation for at least a decade. That's 10 years, Dalen, just to kind of break it down a little bit for you. And apparently they put that offer through on November 11th. This is according to the New York Times. Phil Spencer earlier last week also mentioned that he didn't want to, quote unquote, pull the rug underneath PlayStation 7's legs with Call of Duty, and he also did say on the Decoder podcast on over at The Verge, he said they want to make a longer term commitment to Sony. So I think it's kind of we've talked about it before. This is just kind of the latest wrinkle of the whole situation. But I like how Microsoft is over here like, just work with us, man. We're gonna make it okay. We're gonna give it to you forever. Let's go to PlayStation 7. It's gonna be fine. But Luis, what do you make of this latest on this whole Activision, Blizzard, Microsoft, Call of Duty thing?
I mean, Microsoft doesn't have to do anything. The fact that they're even extending an olive branch is like, I don't know why Sony is being so like hesitant to do, because I guess they're trying to push it's too much of a behemoth to make exclusive, blah blah, this that. He's out there, they're flying out directly to people trying to prove their case or whatever. But I mean, Microsoft's trying to work with them. They don't have to do anything. They could, if they wanted to, put this on Game Pass and just say fuck you, but they're not.
Ultimately they will, because they're not saying they're not gonna do that, right? They're just saying, look, you will keep having this game. They will be there. PlayStation, stop crying. Stop sending crying. What's his name? Jim Ryan. Stop sending them to Brussels. Stop sending them to Brussels. Ryan.com. Stop sending them to Brussels to make his case. We're gonna give it to you, damn it. But I mean, it's such a big deal too for Microsoft that they're like, yeah, we're gonna play nice. Because trust me, once that ink dries on that contract, we're going to see the true Microsoft come out. We're going to see it. Right now they're being nice. They wanted to see it come through, right? But Dalen, what do you think, man, before you kind of move on to the next thing?
I think they looked at Sony and said, you know what? I've seen the way that Sony treats Marvel, and we're going to treat them the same way. We're going to give them 10 years and see what happens at the end of 10 years. Because I know when Sony had their contract with Spider-Man, they were like, nah, we're not going to give this back to anybody, Marvel. You're not taking this. Yeah. And for Microsoft, they're like, nah, we got Modern Warfare. We don't have to give it to you at all. But I tell you what, you take 10 years, maybe we'll give it to you again in 10 years.
Well,
and Sony's looking at that like, damn, that's a bit of a wall. I don't know if they're really gonna let us keep it.
Well, I think Sony has to get with that. Because it's both Sony, right? Sony and who they kind of own the rights to movie versions of Spider-Man, right? There's some kind of clause in there, dude. There's a reason why we got the Amazing Spider-Man. Like, it's like, what the fuck? What is it? Who asked for this? Like, oh, it's in the contract. We have to keep making movies for us to keep the contract.
There's a reason why we got a terrible Fantastic Four on the 10th year anniversary.
when that contract said, if you don't do anything with this is null and void, right? So I think Sony has to get with the other department at Sony, right, and be like, all right, let's put the kicker in. Let's put this thing in, right? Like, let's make some of the specificities in this contract, right? Any thoughts on that, Dale? That's kind of one of the latest wrinkles, I suppose.
Oh, about the
whole
deal?
10-year. Like, we're gonna put down. We're gonna put down.
No,
Spider-Man.
Yeah. I think at this point, I'll try to be brief. At this point, I honestly want Microsoft to keep it exclusive. Like, I don't want them offering anything. I want like Old Testament Bill Gates to come out and be like, no, they're ours now. We're not sharing it. Like, screw you. Like seriously, compete. That's what I want, because ultimately you get a better product, or at least better products from both companies either way.
Oh, walks out holding 2 speakers on each side.
Yes.
No, you're trying to alienate the hell out of a fan base like real fast.
Nah, dude. Once the ink dries on that thing, Microsoft's gonna come out and be like, "Okay, you guys kept fucking around. Here we go. This is it. We bought them."
I know. I want to see that old type. Like for like generation Xbox One owners and stuff like that. That was amazing. After they had like this incredible momentum, and like they got all these like PC kind of exclusives that weren't possible on other consoles, but the Xbox had the power to do it. So like I always loved that, like that they were competing in that kind of space. Like they're like not specifically console oriented like games. Like you could also go out and get PC stuff, which is like I feel like they could find like some sort of middle ground there. And if Call of Duty happens to be the biggest franchise in their cap to do that, then why not? Just put it on PC. All these other PlayStation 5 players already complain about like, why don't you just buy it on PC? So just we'll buy it on PC. We'll also have it on the Xbox.
That is a good point.
We'll get it on everything. Yeah.
It's like, I know why I don't like to play crossplay, because people on PC are just gonna murder me anyway.
Well, not if they're plugging in the controller for the auto aim assist, Dalen. Not if they're plugging in some people out there, Prithvi Patel, you're out there plugging in a controller into your PC for the auto aim. He's gonna hit up out there. He needs to hear it. He needs to hear it.
Okay, I'm gonna called out right now.
Well, look, some games are reasonable. Or Rocket League, I feel that deserves a controller, or something like that. I feel like that. Wait, but are you playing Halo with the controller, Dale? Is that what you're telling me on your PC?
Specifically, yes, and racing games, because triggers are better than keys, because it's either you're on or off, whereas opposed to there's granularity when you push down.
See, that's fair. Those things are fair. But some people out here are like, you're gonna play Call of Duty or Counter-Strike with not a mouse and keyboard. Reasonable. We'll keep it here as far as Microsoft, and we're going to the quick takes now. Phil Spencer admits that Microsoft may have shipped some games too early. This is a quote via Eurogamer. He said, quote, "It isn't really a decision." Well, he was talking about regarding Starfield and how they delayed Redfall and saying that was the right thing to do. He also said, quote, "It isn't really a decision to move a game after spending the team's effort over multiple years just to get to a point where you know you're not going to deliver the game you want on the date that was promised. Now it is at some level because I have shipped games too early. We have experienced shipping games too early." And we were just talking about Halo Infinite. I feel like he didn't specifically say that, Dale, but I think he's referring to like maybe Halo Infinite was put out there a little early. So, we had Redfall and Starfield that got pushed out. Even though Starfield had that beautiful, like, what was it, 11/11/22 date, they were like, it's got to get pushed out. So it's kind of interesting to see kind of like the head of Microsoft Gaming saying like, you know what? I'm gonna push some games out a little too early, right? Dalen, what do you think about this, man?
Did you say Dale or Dalen?
Dalen.
Make sure. All right, just making sure I'm
those
listening.
Those Nilla wafers are hitting different today, man.
I got half a wafer left. All right. But when it comes to the shipping of games too early, it only makes me think of the fact that very recently we had what was it, God of War, that was shipped too early, or at least it broke street date. And I'm thinking to
Oh, but that's
myself,
a different thing, though, Dale. That's the
I
publishers.
understand it's
Yeah,
I understand
or
it is
that's
a different
retailers throwing it out there.
concept in itself, but I don't think it's too bad of a thing for them to ship just a little too early, just so they can make sure that they actually see the bugs that they have. I just don't want them to ship way too early, like it's not ready too early, like 2077 too early. We don't want that.
Well,
A little too early is
I
not
think
bad,
that's
but
what. I think that's what he's referring to, though, Dalen. That the game isn't like ready to be out. It's not like we're trying to avoid the, what do we call it, the impact radius of a Call of Duty and shifting it
the
around a
blast
little
radius.
bit. The blast radius. I think he means like the game isn't ready. We shouldn't release this, even dancing around
and-
other dates.
And as I was gonna say, if you know it's not ready, ask for more time. See if you can get that extension. I mean, it is kind of, your company, but it's up to you.
Yeah. Well, Phil Spencer's definitely saying, like, he's kind of opening the door, right, to like developers. Like, yeah, if you need more time, you need more time, right? Luis, what do you think?
We'll wait.
Man?
We will wait.
Yeah, there's plenty of
That was quite the thread to follow there that Dalen was making up there. But all right,
It really was.
I do like that. I mean, it's unfortunate. He didn't specifically name Halo, but I think everyone's kind of thinking Halo was what he was talking about. It's unfortunate that had to be the thing that kind of taught them that lesson, because that game, I mean, arguably at least 6 months to a year too early, right? Where they could have waited a bit, maybe done a beta test for a little bit and then pushed it back a little bit or something. But I guess it's a good thing that he's kind of made them learn that lesson. And if it makes the games better, I don't know anyone who is really even opposed to like push it back if it makes it better. We don't really care as long as it's a good game. So hopefully that's what that means for them, and
going
how
forward.
they develop.
Going forward, I mean, like I said, they pushed kind of Redfall and Starfield. Those are big games, and those are big after a huge acquisition from Bethesda, right? Where they bought Bethesda and they're like, all right, let's make this right. Plus, we're over here dealing with some shit with Call of Duty, man. Let's get some good games out here.
They get yelled at from every direction,
including from Dalen. We just gotta follow the thread. Dalen. We just gotta follow the thread. He did mention. I think we might have mentioned it here before, and like he kind of put it up in like the background of one of his pictures. He's always hiding little things in there. If you ever see a Phil Spencer like interview or whatever in the background, there's little things. He hid a little streaming device back there, like a little Xbox streaming device. He mentioned how it was too expensive to make that for now, that they would like to release that at a $99 to $129 price point. And he didn't say they're moving away from it. He said they just got to get it there. They just got to make it cheap enough, right? But Dale, what do you think about this, man? They're still thinking streaming device, right? They still want to give us a streaming box.
Okay, if you were to ask me this question maybe 6 months ago to a year ago, I would have said absolutely not. But I've been playing freaking xCloud beta right now on Persona 5 and another unnamed game I'll mention later, and a couple others. And I honestly, I do have a great connection. I have fiber and I have Wi-Fi 6. And so both of those in tandem together are like leagues better than my old internet. So, but it's been like, I want to say 90% like really well done. Like I'll get hitches and now and then, but I was like, dang, this is actually working really well. And if they could like somehow get ahead of the curve and have all of these devices or these streaming devices out there and ready for like this next wave of Wi-Fi and this interconnectivity, they might position themselves in a very good spot. They're already putting that kind of technology into a lot of Samsung TVs. I know they have a Samsung partnership right now, and if that provides a lot of fruit for their labor, then they're going to be in a very good position.
And you would think like a dedicated box like this, they would get like, part of it is the pricing as he refers to, right? But I think the other part is like, it works. If you get this like a license, whatever Microsoft thing, it works. Like I've mentioned it to Luis before, is like, how hard is it to get streaming? Like I have an older TV from like 2006. I try to run streaming on there. It's all like pixelated. It's all nasty. But if I get the box from like DirecTV, who I have DirecTV, and I get their streaming box, it's beautiful. It's beautiful streaming experience. I haven't had a great streaming experience for games, but maybe this one's it. Maybe Microsoft's like, we want to get it cheap enough, and it's better be good, right? It better be a good experience as far
Yeah.
as that's concerned. Luis, what do you think about this, man?
Yeah, I think that's a pretty fair price point considering that you'd essentially be playing Xbox games on depending on what the form factor is, but I'm sure it's going to be smaller than any of their other two consoles. And I know a while ago you were talking about how Samir was saying that he sees parents bringing in their speaker, quote unquote Xbox S, into the teepees, the hotel there, and this would be a better alternative, I think, right? If you just bring this little thing, plug it into a TV, maybe the power source is the TV. It's just like the HDMI.
Yeah.
Even better. So yeah, if they could get it within that price point, I think that's pretty fair. Who knows if that includes a controller though? That's the other thing.
That's the other thing. Or they're like, just plug in a USB controller or plug in a Bluetooth controller or whatever. But I have the little box like I was mentioning. It's a little DirecTV box. I move that thing around the house all the time, man. It's like easy enough, and it's it's kind of a big size to it. So I can imagine these guys probably want it to be sort of like an Amazon Fire or something like that, right? Like that small and that capable, I suppose. But what do you think, Dan? You gonna go streaming on us, or what are you thinking? Phrasing, but not don't think about it too much.
I'm gonna go streaming. No, but the idea of a little streaming box, I could only really think of it as being like a remote play streaming box for your current Xbox or possibly your PC if you have Game Pass on it, saying that you have your Xbox at home hooked up to the internet and you're actually able to remote play pretty much anywhere you're at in the world as long as you have it plugged into a TV and you have fair internet there as well. So that would be like the main thing that I'd see for that. Maybe at home you could use it for streaming if they wanted to just make a cloud-based type system for the Xbox itself, but $50 is my price point on that.
Well, they already have it, Dylan. It is the X
Yeah,
Cloud. It's basically like Deo is playing full on games on
and
on
he's
his tablet,
playing
right?
full on games that does not take as much power as, let's say, Elden Ring or like God of War or something like that, or the new God of War, I should say.
Yeah.
But if you, I would assume that if he tried to play one of those games on his X Cloud, that it would start being choppy suddenly.
Yeah, I
Files
played.
to not
Yeah,
files.
I did try a Plague Tale Requiem, and that one gets a little iffy after a
Oh,
long
It's
okay.
like,
play.
it might look beautiful, but
Yeah.
the harder it works, the worse it can get.
Well, I
And
think,
that's
but
an
it
issue
comes.
that's not easy to get over.
But I think it comes down. That's like an input lag thing, right? Like that's kind of the issue there, right? Which is with cloud and like streaming that's the biggest problem for me is like the input lag, right? So the fact that you're playing Persona, you think that, so you haven't noticed it that like precise, Deo, is what you're saying? Like
you won't notice that on Persona.
Absolutely. Well, no, actually, it's been really good.
Okay.
It might lag behind like after, I don't know, during really heavy intensive like physics stuff. Yeah, it kind of lags behind, but then it like kind of judders, and then it kind of resets itself or catches you up. It's kind of like delayed head-based code or whatever. So it kind of gets you back into where you should be once everything recovers.
Oh, you mean it drops frames like a son of a bitch just to get you back to where you're at?
It's really pixelated.
That's
it's
a technical term, Dalen. That's a technical term.
Yeah, it's like when you watch a YouTube video, and like your connection isn't too strong, so then like it kind of drops a little bit, but then it catches you right back up once the connection is strong again. So it's kind of like that.
Okay, then we'll see. We'll definitely see. Hey, we're on to you, Phil Spencer. We're on to you. We
I mean, like I haven't tried
a
a fighting game on it, which is probably the ultimate test of that system.
Oh yeah,
but...
dude. Of course, man. Because that has issues. Even like not even a cloud-based version of it. Sometimes you have issues with that. So yeah,
That's
definitely.
Just, what was it? Rollback netcode or whatever.
Yeah. So definitely, report back, Dale. After you come off of that truly situation you got going on. After you come off
from the driveway, just on one.
The next thing we have on here is that Warzone 2.0 is out. But apparently it's brought over the invisibility glitch from 1.0. This is according to Video Games Chronicle. Players and streamers are already sharing videos about all these online shenanigans, and you can kind of see it through a kill cam. From what I understand, it's like, wait, I did not see that person while I was like actually playing, but now on the replay, there's someone there. So I haven't tested out Warzone 2.0. Have you, Dalen? Have you tried it out and kind of noticed
I've
this
not
stuff?
tested out Warzone 2.0, but I know people have been talking to me about trying to get on it because I guess it's free. But more so,
Not
I was
guess it
thinking about
is.
this.
It's a free to play game.
Okay. But okay. But the thing I was thinking about most here is the kill cam thing. Imagine if you were actually able to purchase those kill cams that we were talking about last week.
Mm-hmm.
Then you make it all special when you see people just appear on your screen.
Okay, that's the comment, Dalen. That's the comment. I thought you had been affected by these invisibility guys or whatever.
Hey man, stop being invisible, you assholes. That's what that is.
Hey, that's a good point. Next thing on here, apparently the proximity. We need to play this. I feel, man. We need to play this because apparently there's a proximity chat. There's a proximity chat in the game where you can talk to players from other squads when they're close by. I feel like games have done it before. I just kind of am having a hard time remembering, but I'm pretty sure
Halo
other
3.
games have done it. Halo 3, right?
Yeah.
Halo 3, you were able to.
PUBG did it. That's what I said.
There you go. So the fact that it's like we're stealing all these features from other games, and people are like, yes, this is incredible. But hey, we'll take it, right? Luis, what do you think about this proximity chat that's in Warzone 2.0?
Yeah, I think even with what Dale mentioned, Halo and Dalen PUBG, I think the bigger inspiration for this was there was a big correlation between Modern Warfare players, 2019 version, and a lot of them were also playing Tarkov at the same time, Escape from Tarkov. And they kept saying, because Escape from Tarkov has proximity chat, I guess in there it's a little more interesting because of the fact that it doesn't like show name tags or nameplates. You kind of just have to remember what your friendlies look like and what the enemies might look like. So in there was a little more intense, like people talking across hallways, like, "Hey, don't shoot! I just need to pick up this backpack or whatever."
Okay,
And
nice.
a lot of them were kind of saying, "Man, it would be awesome if this were in Warzone or something." So maybe that's where they kind of got the inspiration of like, "Okay, we'll try it out, put it in the game, and see what's going on." And I've been seeing a lot of crazy, like, funny, creative clips on Twitter specifically of like people talking to each other, like when they're inside of the building, kind of hiding and like singing the Backstreet Boys and shit like that. So yeah, it seems like it's a very well received feature, and people are saying it's probably the best feature they've added to Call of Duty in quite some time. So
and it's
I'd like to try
surprising.
it.
It's surprising that more games don't put it in there, right? Like, but like it's not a default thing, right? That you're close, because it's kind of like if you think of multiplayer games, they kind of approximate, potentially sports, like when you're playing a pickup game or something like that. You're talking crap to your the other players a lot of the game. So I don't see why you wouldn't be able to do that the same way, like you're close to another enemy player, right? Is it I don't know if you would know. You're the resident developer on the podcast, Lise, but I don't know if you would know. Is it a technological, like, is it really hard to implement this kind of thing, proximity chat, or if you know?
I mean, that's kind of a case by case. You can't really kind of put a blanket statement on it. But yeah, it necessarily isn't that difficult. It just takes some work to, I guess, put it in there or not. So
okay, it's a matter of like prioritizing, right? Like if we want to prioritize.
Well, it all depends. Everyone uses different voice services. Some of them are plugins, some of them they create themselves. So you can't really like say one solution would work for all of them, But
okay, I think they did that for this too, right? I know we were playing Warzone or Call of Duty Modern Warfare when we played the beta. They have a weird new audio system, right? That you plug in, you creating chats and you're in and out of chats or whatever. Do you guys remember?
That's not exactly the same, though.
No, I'm not saying it's the
probably
same.
Related to their overhauling of the chat system, though.
Yeah,
that's
fair.
what I'm saying. That it's related potentially to that, and now that they're able to do it a little bit more. Dale, what do you think, man?
No, I had a question about the beta because I wasn't able to play it because I heard that the footsteps and everything were much louder. I'm wondering if they toned it down.
And they raised it up. I didn't put it in the rundown,
they?
but they actually raised it up. They said 75%. So people were like, we want the loud footsteps. Yeah,
that's really interesting because so like Luis said, there's a bunch of clips going around Twitter of the prox chat in action, and it's hilarious. A lot of them are really funny. Like a lot of players are begging for their lives if they get caught with their pants down and everything. I wonder if so what happened I remember Warzone, was it 1 or was it some other game, that they had sprays on the wall, and so that looked like players or whatever, right? And so they would mess around with people with those sprays, thinking when they breach and entering into the room, they would start shooting at the sprays and like, haha, like I'm actually in the corner. They shoot them, right, as a trap mechanic. I'm wondering if they could do that with prox chat, where they could just be like they mimic the step sounds and be like, and then like they think they're coming, but they're not actually moving anywhere. I wonder if that's a tactic. I don't know.
It can get wackier. We want it to get wackier, right?
You want us to Metal Gear everybody? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like why not? This could be a game-defining feature, like Luis said, and that'd be incredible if we see plays like that rotating like around the internet, and you see it all over the place. That'd be sick. I would love that.
That's gonna be that one high-level player who named himself Solid Snake, running around killing everybody.
Yeah, we gotta dip into it. The problem is, things like 70, 80 gigs, man. You gotta delete some stuff. It's heist month, from what I understand, in GTA. You know, it's tough out there. The next thing we have on here, it's also tough for this other person. Real quick, I missed that segue there. Yuji Naka, the man, the father of Sonic, also the father of Balan Wonderland, which, you know, we don't speak of that, I believe, unless you guys want to, but
he's the father of A Sonic.
He's the father of A Sonic.
Don't give that blanket statement.
Yuji Naka got arrested for insider trading while working at Square Enix. He's actually one of 3 suspects, and apparently they're getting accused. So let's say allegedly. Well, he did get arrested. I feel like that's factual. But he's getting charged with trading shares. Potentially is related to trading shares before a new Dragon Quest was announced. You know, like what? So this happened while he was at Square Enix, and as far as we know, that's kind of all the details I could kind of find out. Is that this man is under arrest, and we're gonna write to Yuji Naka or something, Dale? What do you think? We gonna send a little note to he's in jail?
Oh, at this time, no. I have no love for what the hell he did. Come on.
Oh, damn. Okay.
Like I love Sonic and everything like that, but like, come on.
Allegedly.
You rot in jail for what you did with Balan Wonderland.
Like I don't know how like police enforcement is in Japan, but I'm pretty sure like if they got to this point, he probably did something, right? Like I don't think they're, it's just the formality that they just like put him in jail or whatever, or handcuff him. I don't know what the system is like over there. But yeah, like I mean, it's a white collar crime, but it's a crime, and it should
but
be,
it's still a crime.
It's a crime. I don't know what the consequences are for something like that, but I'm not writing home to him. I'm not like gonna be a fanboy going out of this jail cell and be like holding a sign like "Free Naka now" or something like that.
Yuji Naka. Balan Wonderworld was my favorite game of the year. Dalen.
I can say that the Japanese do not mess around when it comes to their businesses. If you mess with their business, they will not give any quorums to arrest you as soon as possible. So it could have even been some light-sided comment that he could have made that could have just put him in that box by accident, and he got arrested.
I feel like, hold on, Dalen. I feel like you're trying to trade shares before something is announced. I don't feel like that's a comment.
No, I'm not doing it.
That's I feel like that's a very like conscious effort to be like, okay, we're gonna announce a new Dragon Quest. You guys need to know about this, so let's trade some shares. I feel like there's a conscious move. What do you think, Lisa? Are we giving this man the benefit of the doubt here? Because Dale's not. He said he ain't writing home. He said he's not writing home to him.
Dale's not writing home to him. Dalen thinks he just said something about it. And I think that what he should have done is taken the don't do insider training that I took at NVIDIA. Because they made me do that my first week.
There you go.
Yeah, they made me do that.
Plead the fifth, Naka. Plead the fifth.
He should have done it. He should have not said anything according to Dalen. So
yeah.
Hey, man, he forgot his training. That's what happened.
By the way, that's just to put it on wax that Luis is like, hey, I take my training seriously at NVIDIA. All that stuff.
They told me not to do it, and I said, sounds good.
Sounds
hard
good
is that?
to me. Sounds good to me.
I got my certificate and everything, dude.
Snaps. Not getting arrested, that's awesome.
Could you produce that for us, Lee? Could you produce a certificate for us or not?
It's on the work computer.
Dude, you should find a Twitter story of Yuji Naka getting arrested, and then you should put your certificate like retweet.
This is what you should have did.
Ain't that hard.
Yuji Naka, hey, I shared an elevator with this man. Had I known that he was gonna do some insider trading and/or racketeering, I wouldn't have been like, let me off this floor. I can't be in here with this man right now.
He'd have been like, whisper to me, and now I'm gonna walk away.
Tell me what's gonna happen 10 years from now, before the disaster that is Balan Wonderland. Please let me know what's going on. The next thing we have on here, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. How old is this game? But we're still talking about it. gets Wave 3 of the Booster Course Pass that drops December 7th. That's going to be 8 courses added. One of the things I really wanted to mention, though, Dalen, is that it's got the 3DS Rainbow Road. And we know how much you love your assist on Rainbow Road, Dalen. So I'm pretty sure. Okay, now you got to defend yourself.
You don't want to. No. What I'm going to say is you don't want to play me in Mario Kart. Period.
If I play you, will you not turn on the assist?
Man, I'd have to purchase the freaking pass in order to get all the stages.
No. Rainbow Road exists already, not the 3DS one.
I know you're talking about that one Rainbow Road.
Are you gonna not turn the assist on?
As long as you don't turn on your assist.
Oh, okay. Now that's the caveat. If I turn them on, you're gonna turn them on. What's happening?
The assists are there for if you need them, Galen. And Carlos needs the assist. He don't need the help.
Yes. See, so
then yes.
Yeah, then I'll play you, Dalen. If you're not gonna turn on the assist, I'll do it.
Cheesecake.
Don't be
scared.
I
won't turn on the assist.
All right, I'm gonna beat you at Rainbow Road for sure, dude.
That's the only stage that you will win.
That is the only stage we're playing, by the way. That's the only. There are no guardrails on that world, on that little beautiful Rainbow Road. Dale, my bad, man. God. What is your comment on this? I just had to hit up Dale real quick about that.
No, it's all good. I like that. No, actually, I'm really excited about that. I played the heck out of Mario Kart 8 since it came out on the Wii U. It's seriously the same game, guys. Like, there's nothing really that changed, to be honest with you.
The game is still selling to this day,
but it's still selling like gangbusters because the Wii U didn't sell as many copies, and it was a fantastic game. So I'm really happy that they're completely expanding. Like, I bought the DLC on the Wii U, which came with like the Zelda motorcycle and there's like 4 extra courses.
I thought that was free. That's right. When it came
out
on Switch, it was Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
Which came out on the cart, on the Switch cart. And so and they're expanding even more. So I'm like, at the time I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna buy Mario Kart 8. I bought Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. That was 2 months ago, and I'm replaying it. I'm like, damn it, they got me again. So I'm really happy that they're expanding all of this. It's nice. Like, Rainbow Road is an epic freaking race course to have, and it's weird that they haven't included it until now. So
yeah. Well, I think this was specifically the 3DS one. I think they probably do have the other ones, right? I would assume.
Yeah, they have I think they have the Wii version one, but the 3DS one is really
and you have the season pass. Did you buy the $50?
I did.
The DLC. Okay, for this, or you just I'm just going all in on the Nintendo Online?
No, just for this.
Okay.
I just bought the whole thing.
Yeah.
I don't need the Nintendo Online thing. So.
Well, that's what they do, right? That's kind of like the trick to it, right? It's like, okay, look, some of you guys don't care about Pokemon Puzzle League, but we're gonna give you tracks for Mario Kart. Dude, I care about Pokemon Puzzle League. You don't understand, man. I am this close. I am this close to Dalen. Tell me when you're gonna get the $50 DLC, please, or the online Switch, please.
When you give me my birthday, birthday present.
Okay, now we're gonna come up with things now. But yeah, I'm glad you're excited, Dale. I'm glad you're excited about that. You're gonna get it soon. A couple weeks now. Get more tracks. Next thing we have on here, this one's for Luis, because we know how much he loves Pokemon. But apparently, Pokemon Scarlet / Violet, I have it on here, sells more box copies opening weekend. I feel like that's the key word here. Opening weekend in the UK versus any other game this year. And I put in quotes, Elden Ring. What's up with that? I try to look up more specific details, and I think the keywords are opening weekend, because I feel Elden Ring kind of what is that, they grew that snowball or whatever, that snowball effect. It's it's a runaway hit, because Elden Ring has sold 17.5 million copies this year. One of the interesting little wrinkles, Lee, I don't know if you saw this, but apparently when you're playing the game, I know you're going to pick it up, potentially. I'm assuming you're going to pick up Scarlet or Violet. If you plug in a second controller, you can kind of press in that analog stick, and it'll give you double the speed of your character. He'll just start running way faster. But besides that, at least, what do you think, man? Besides the pro tip I just dropped on you.
Well, who knows if they'll ever fix that at this point, because they've got a ton of bugs in that game. I don't know if you've been keeping up on Twitter, but people posting all kinds of crazy bugs in this game that are people falling through the map, things unloading and loading while they pull out the camera.
Is it that bad?
It's pretty bad.
Yeah, it can't run it.
It's pretty bad. That being said, though, everyone's saying, yeah, man, this is not only is it the buggiest Pokemon game ever, but it's one of the buggiest games that's like ever released, I guess. And because it's a
Okay.
Nintendo game, it's kind of puzzling.
Surprising.
Yeah.
But they're also saying it's the funnest Pokemon game I've ever played. So even how buggy it is, that says a lot about the
Yeah.
game itself, I guess. If you're like willing to suffer through the sort of weird kinks that it has in
Yeah.
right now. So I don't know. Maybe they won't fix the double run speed. Maybe they will, because they got a hell of a lot of work to do apparently in that
Will
game.
you
But,
will you mess with that, Lisa? Are you gonna do the double run speed or not? It's kind of quite a bit to have.
honestly, I wasn't quite sure if I was even gonna get this game because I did get the last one, the Arceus, and even though I did like it, I don't know. At this point, I feel like I've kind of reached the end of the point where I'm like, I don't think Pokemon games are made for me anymore. I think they're made for like the younger audiences.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But we'll see if people keep saying good things about it. Maybe I'll catch a Twitch stream or two to see what it's like. But I'm still not convinced on whether or not I'm gonna get it.
Well, and I think Arceus, if you're basing it on Arceus, I think Arceus was kind of like, it was sort of a detour, right? Because a lot of that game is like, go catch 10 bugs, go catch 15 bugs. Kind of like the busy work that sort of like MMOs do or whatever. Like, go catch 10, go catch 15 of this or whatever. So I think this one's probably like a little more like traditional, right? I'm assuming.
Well, no, I actually did like that though.
Oh,
I
you
actually
did
did
like
like
that part, okay.
Arceus was my favorite modern Pokemon game at
Okay,
least.
interesting,
And it was that's supposed to be like sort of not necessarily those like research tasks or anything, but the open worldness and all that kind of stuff
Yeah.
is supposed to be the trajectory that they're moving in now.
Okay.
But even though at that point I was like, maybe this is like the top, the pinnacle of like where maybe this is my final stop on these games, you know? But
Or
we'll see.
until they decide to move on from the two we use duct tape together, that is the Switch, right? Like at some point it's like we need to move on, we need to make a better version of this. Not just a swoled, not just a swoled screen, but actually like a legitimate hardware revision. So I'm kind of hopefully that happens at some point. This next one
one that hits true 4K.
Yeah, man, because it's rough, man. It's rough being a Switch owner. The next thing on here, Kamiya did tease that Bayonetta 4 is in the works. Someone put in here spoilers, so I won't say too much, but he did say that, you know, the fans are a little unhappy, and he did mention, it was like, there's a Bayonetta 4 coming out. Maybe that will make you happy. So he's dropping, I'm guessing this is like he's taking cues from the Sonic Frontiers director. He's like, you don't understand. And this man said, not only did this man say you don't understand, he said, wait for 4. Wait for 4 to drop. So anyways, I'm still playing through those. I'm going to talk a little bit more on Bayonetta and what you've been playing. The next thing on here, though, is that Team Ninja confirms plans to remake Ninja Gaiden and Dead or Alive in the future. There's nothing to announce, but they said that they want to share news, quote unquote, as soon as possible. Dalen, I don't know if you're the resident, I know you're the resident Dead or Alive fan on this podcast / Dial a Combo fighter.
I don't like that, but all right.
But it's a fair statement. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. How do you feel, Dalen? How do you feel about Dead or Alive?
About your bias statement, I feel it's unfair. But as for your other statement, I will admit, in regards to Ninja Gaiden, I did play Ninja Gaiden 1, but I didn't play any of the other Ninja Gaidens. I just kind of watched them for the most part. But from my understanding is that all the Ninja Gaidens kind of went in a specific trajectory for itself when it comes to storytelling and gameplay. It didn't really make any leaps and bounds for itself, with the exception of like giving it a couple of new weapons or a few new moves. So trying to remake the series, I'm not sure how well that's going to work out. I mean, they already had a hard enough time when they tried to do their, I want to say, collector's edition, where they put in the wrong Ninja Gaiden game into the collector's edition. Okay. I mean, people were upset about that. They were like, we want the original. And they said, no, we don't have the rights to that one anymore. But for Dead or Alive, it's going to be... what is the word I'm looking for?
A dollar combo. That's the word you're looking for.
I'm not even talking about the dollar combo part. I'm not talking about the mechanics of it. I'm talking about them trying to keep the game relevant in regards to people caring about the characters. Because the original reason that people cared about the characters was because of jiggle physics. But now they've taken that out.
Don't say jizzle physics.
Hey, Dale was ready. Dale was ready.
Jiggle physics, okay? That was their big thing for like 4 games running. And then the 5th game, they were like, and we're waiting on it, and we're like, hold on, they've reduced the jiggle physics. Then the 6th game comes out.
You guys
There's no jiggle physics.
Hey,
and it's the
hold
worst
on. Let me
selling
put.
one.
Hey, what's that line that they put on TV? Is like all these products that are advertised are like not a Salient Points endorsed or affiliated with. This is just Dalen's comments. These are just Dalen's.
Jiggle physics. People know about the jiggle physics.
They do.
You know about the.
They do. I will leave it at they do. But Salient Points is neither affiliated nor endorsing.
She kicks high.
Salient Points is neither endorsing or
I
affiliated
mean, come
with
on,
these
man.
comments.
They made
right?
a game that was specifically beach
They really
volleyball.
did. They really did.
That was a legitimate sports game. It had really great physics in it. The point system was on point.
We're on point.
The point system was on point.
Always kept track of your points.
Yeah.
All game.
You know what?
Man, you better go check on your driveway.
Dalen, as far as Ninja Gaiden, yeah, it took a weird little trajectory, right? Because the first game was really tight, really focused, really nice. One of the best action games out there, one of the best 3D action games. And then 2 got a little weird. It gave them like nunchakus or something, I believe. And then 3 was like, we kind of forgot about it at that point, right? So it's kind of one of those things that is like, it took a weird turn, the Ninja Gaiden series, where it was like, this game is incredible, right? Like with Ninja Gaiden 1. But Dale, I think you kind of have said your piece, but go ahead, Dale. If there was something else that you needed to say about this, please, sir.
Sorry, I got. You see, my thought process got delayed.
Let's go to.
I was like, I'm prepped.
Hey, don't give me
Let's
that.
go.
This was all you, good sir. You very much defended that beach volleyball Dead or Alive game. I don't remember the name.
Yeah,
of
no,
it.
he definitely had to.
Extreme Beach Volleyball 1 and 2. It was so successful they made a sequel and they made a third one on the PSP. So
and all the DLC costumes you could dream of.
All of them. As much fan service as you want.
Luis, we'll let Dale simmer down and maybe think on what other comments he has to say.
For a minute.
But
he's getting heated.
we'll let him simmer a little bit. But what do you think, Luis? What do you think about this?
Yeah, so I never really got into Ninja Gaiden. I got into it on Ninja Gaiden Sigma on the PS3. That's the first one and only one I actually have ever played. And that was the first game for me that it was difficult, but it wasn't so hard that like I didn't want to keep playing it. It was that first sort of what do you call it? Basically kind of Returnal, but not Returnal. Like it wasn't that hard. It was just very challenging and satisfying. There were some weird times though, where you'd like spawn in at a boss fight, it auto saved and you have like 1 HP and you kind of just have to figure it out. I'm hoping they don't do that with this game.
Yep. Yeah.
But yeah, that one I'm excited about. I think people in general would be like, oh, I want to see what they do with that. Dead or Alive, aside from Deo, I don't know if anyone's asking for that. So that one's kind of surprising.
Dalen is.
See what I was going to say in the before we went on the tangent about volleyball is the story already was cringeworthy by itself. So trying to come back and rehash that story with a remake, that's like trying to go from Mortal Kombat 1995 to Mortal Kombat 2019. Or 2020. I don't remember
when it came out.
2009.
When did it come?
No. What are you talking? You talking about Annihilation? No.
Dalen, you leave Dale alone.
Oh, got it.
All right,
Sorry,
he's imbibed right now. All right, leave him alone.
Okay.
All right, leave him alone. Leave him alone. All right?
He's in bathing suit land. Let him come down from his high.
Leave him alone. But look, I know one of the main things, Luis, I think what was so good about Ninja Gaiden was that it was challenging, but it wasn't cheap. Like you knew that it was like, I screwed up. I dodged a little second too late. This is on me that I did this. So I feel like that was kind of like I've been playing God of War, man. A lot of that game, I haven't, I didn't want to cheat the fun. So I'm playing through 2018 edition all the way through. A lot of it is like when I dive, like I knew I dodged Thor's hammer too quickly or whatever. Like, that was my fault. I did my special too early. Dale,
You're not falling through the floor. You know that the mechanics are on point for that game.
Yes.
And if you get hit, that's on you.
That's on me. It's not like the NES era games, dude. Those games were cheap as hell, for sure. How are you gonna?
bad.
How are the characters gonna come back when you look away? Like, how are they gonna come back? Like this hard ass difficult enemies that you just murdered. How are they gonna come back?
Don't forget, you walked into the next room and you were like, "Oh, I forgot something." You walk back, all the enemies come back.
Nasty. See these kids nowadays, man. They got it better. They got it. I know, like people with their nostalgia games were better back then. Like bullshit, man. You put in a lot of quarters. You put in a lot of quarters into a lot of games back then.
They were trying to rob you.
They were
Have
definitely
you not played Time Crisis? They were robbing you.
Oh, they were straight up robbing you. Put your quarters up, indeed. J.O., anything else before we kind of get to the next
back on
thing?
Okay, no, for I do agree with what Dalen and Luis said. Dead or Alive is not as how do you say that? It's not. It's really tough because the DOA 1 and DOA 2, those fighting games, their story was on a shoestring, and it'd be really hard to like remake something like that. And the relevancy of Dead or Alive, especially in like the fighting game community, is not as high as it used to be. I feel like King of Fighters took over in that regard. DOA, like, how do you say that? It used to be like kind of a system seller for me, and some other people.
Oh yeah, they were saying like you guys mentioned.
Yeah.
Wow, you guys mentioned the jiggle physics, and it looked amazing. Every release looked amazing.
Dreamcast, it looked amazing. Like on PlayStation 2 when they did DOA 2 Hardcore, that looked amazing. Xbox when they had DOA 3, that looked amazing. That was like, kind of a marquee kind of game you would want to show off your console with. These days, it's not as much the same kind of situation, which kind of sucks because like all the characters are really cool, and that's what like Itagaki really wanted. Like out of all those characters, he always wanted each one of those characters to look really cool and be edgy. But at the end of the day, it might not have the depth or longevity as a character to like hold on.
All games look good now is the thing. Like
that's
pretty much
problem.
For the most part, most games
right.
look good. Dalen,
but Dale,
move us on, please.
I gotta hit Dale up about this one thing because it's gonna bother me. How are you gonna even try and compare Dead or Alive to King of Fighters, saying that King of Fighters took over that realm? King of Fighters has been there since '95. Good
damn,
sir.
They said they never left.
Yes,
he's saying
I do. I do agree with you that. Okay, yeah, King of Fighters is definitely much older. However,
no, don't just say it's much older. It's far more recognizable.
True.
And you know that people are gonna immediately go for King of Fighters over Dead or Alive. If
right.
I went to any of my friends and said, "Do you want to play Dead or Alive, or do you want to play King of Fighters?" Carlos would be like, "I do not want to play a dial-up combo. Let's play King of Fighters."
Nah, dude.
I'm talking about like relevancy. Like once like Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat like kind of took off, and they went into like the 3D, like or the 2.5D kind of fighter situation. It took a long time for King of Fighters to do that. Whereas like Dead or Alive was like 3D realm the entire way, and like was really high, and then it's kind of like waned. So like King of Fighters took that spot once they figured out how to make their King of Fighters games in 3D or 2.5D.
How they had the cell shading going
also,
on.
Because King of Fighters 13 back in 2011, that was the best like looking 2D like sprite game you've ever seen, and then they struggled with 14.
Dalen, also, only one of these franchises had the Master Chief, man. Only one of these ever got the Master Chief. That's Dead or Alive.
And only one of them was like, let's throw in Street Fighter and still whoop their asses. But,
Dalen, what are you gonna pull out from the behind your screen right now? What's going on?
I know. What are you working on over here? Look, Dalen.
I got the magic.
Look, Dale is right. Dalen is wrong.
What?
I mean, that's just how it goes down. The next thing we have on here is Ubisoft releases the first concept art for the Splinter Cell remake. It's making a quote-unquote top-tier remake. That's as reported at VGC. Luis, what do you think, man? Are you looking forward to a Splinter Cell remake?
I'm just going to say one thing that hands it off to Dale, but this man called it, man. It was like 2-3 episodes ago we recorded. He put it on wax. He said, this is what they should do. This is what they're going to do. So now speak, Dale.
So now speak on it, Dale, please.
This is for you, Dale.
Now speak on it.
My powers are increasing.
Hey, very humble. Hey,
conversations about it that you have leveled up.
I like how
altitude has increased.
I like how he's very humble about it. He's like looking down at a book, reading. I was like, my powers are increasing. My powers are increasing. My powers are increasing.
I mean, I could be a dick about it. I would I did say on Twitter that like I predicted that Stray is going to be Game of the Year, or at least a candidate, like back in
Okay.
like September or
Like
something
the
like that.
indie game of the year. Mhm.
Right? No, I said Game of the Year, and then
Oh,
so I
you
was
said,
like,
oh, right, Game of the Year.
and so I was just like, flying high, and then like a bunch of dudes like brought me back down to earth, saying like, Stray is shit. It's just a dumb cat game. Blah 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 blah. And I was like, well, fine, whatever. Doesn't change the fact that it's Game of the Year candidate right now.
I mean,
what do you want from me?
my power was at a 2, now it's at a 5. So,
No, it's
uh,
fine.
but
No, back to Splinter Cell. I'm super excited that it's there, and like I hope it's good. I really hope it's good, because Splinter Cell, like many other franchises that we love, has been out of the limelight, and there isn't like a lot of like stealth heavy games out there right now. So, or like strictly stealth like gameplay games.
Because
And
Metal Gear kind of died with Kojima when he
died with him. They died with him. So like, there's nothing else. So this is a good opportunity for Ubisoft to like reinvigorate their franchise and hopefully make some other ones. Because like, if they remake just Splinter Cell, the first one, that'd be cool. But I want to see like Chaos Theory, Pandora Tomorrow. I'd love
with
to
like
see
the
something
multiplayer
like that.
aspects to it and all that.
Yeah, go the route that like Resident Evil is taking, where they were like, we're gonna remake RE2, we're gonna make RE3, and just go through there and just do the same thing. They'd
You
be
made me
the
think they
only
need to bring
like
back Army of Two, because that was actually a good game.
Oh my God, Army of Two. What about Kane and Lynch?
Hey, Kane.
Carlos likes Kane and
Hey,
Lynch.
Kane and Lynch had that grainy filter, had that little grainy filter going on, But yeah, no. What's funny is this is coming off of like a video like it's like celebrating 20 years of Splinter Cell. Like, what the fuck? The last time you made a game was like a decade ago. Now we're celebrating 20 years of Splinter Cell with 10 years no release. But hey, they finally confirmed it. They're working on it, and for sure we could use a kind of nice. And I always liked that one. I always liked that version. It was cleaner than Kojima, because Kojima games, we love him. We love the man. He didn't kill the Japanese prime minister. That was just a rumor. But okay, Dalen, I'm just letting you know that's what happened.
It was a rumor. You didn't have to bring it up.
That's what happened. But
Heavy.
but Splinter Cell was kind of more of a straightforward kind of Jason Bourne-ish type of feeling type of game. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to that kind of style of game. The next thing that we don't have to look forward to, because it's going to be delayed for a little bit, is Dead Island 2. That's delayed just 12 short weeks. It's finally coming out April 28th, 2023. They did put out a tweet saying, quote, "The delay is just 12 short weeks and development is on the final straw now. We're going to take the time we need to make sure we can launch a game we're proud to launch. For those of you who've been waiting for years, thank you for hanging in there with us." Dalen, have you been hanging in there with them? Have you just been waiting for this?
I was actually going to ask if you are down to play this, because I still remember playing Dead Island 1 and how fun it actually was for like 3 minutes, because I played it at the tail end of its like run. But I'm like, if I jump into it fresh, it might actually be fun, kind of like Dying Light 2. Don't get me wrong, I was still very pissed off at Dying Light 2, but it doesn't mean that it wasn't a good game. I understand they probably fixed a lot of those bugs that we had, like we got stuck in a room trying to kill somebody. But
That game is
feel
gruesome,
like,
dude.
I might be down. The game is gruesome.
I might be down for some call.
Just the fact that they're talking about it dropping in April of next year, I'm like, first off, we got too many games coming out in the next like 2 months. Second off, I'm down to play it. Okay, especially if I got somebody to play it with. I don't want to be running around on a zombie island by myself.
Sometimes you got to, man. Sometimes like everyone is dead around you, and that's your only choice. Luis, what do you think, man, about this kind of delay or the game? Or
so this actually is a weird, pleasant surprise for me. For me, the delay is just 5 months, essentially, total, I guess, time, because I kept seeing sort of tweets of this pop up or whatever, and I just assumed it was. I forgot that the second Dead Island was actually called Riptide, so I didn't realize that this was a new game that they were talking about. So for me, out of nowhere, I'm like, oh shit! In 5 months, there's gonna be a new Dead Island. Like, what the fuck? Yeah. So yeah, I'll probably jump in there, pop in. I don't really care that they're delaying it. If they called it 2 months before their initial release, that's perfectly fine.
So you were a big fan of Riptide and the original, or?
Yeah, I played the original co-op. I think it was me and like 2 other people that were playing it. We got through a decent chunk of the game. I don't remember beating it, but we played it for quite some time, and it was pretty fun.
Not beating it. It was just fun to make all those weapons and murder zombies and run around.
Yeah, so I'm excited because now I'm complete blackout mode because now that I know it's coming out soon, I don't even want to know what updates they're making to the game. Nothing. I'm just gonna go in there straight full send the faith in that one.
Full surprise. He's jumping in feet first.
So that Dead Island 2 is coming out, and co-op makes everything better, man. By the way, gotta get into some Halo Infinite co-op at some
Hey, stop hitting your mic. What did the
that's
mic
how-
ever do to you?
That's how hyped I was about it, and I'm not even a couple trulies in, like my man over here.
Dale.
Hey, one mic hit is fine. One mic hit is fine, but Dalen, I've been hearing sniffles the whole time.
Yeah, that's true.
So
Man.
that's-
There's a lot. Hey, it's 35 degrees where Dalen is apparently, as we found
This is
out.
true.
It's like,
Chill.
Dalen, be careful,
Where's my
man.
phone?
You're over there, Back to the Future. John Leguizamo is he's a little
That
upset.
was a segue.
He's a little upset. He's saying casting in the new Mario movie is backwards. The 1993 version was a breakthrough for Latin actors. He was actually at a premiere for the movie The Menu. IndieWire interviewed him, and he said, quote, "The directors of the 1993 film, Annabelle Jankel and Rocky Morton, fought really hard for me to be the lead because I was a Latin man, and the studio didn't want me to be the lead. They fought really hard, and it was such a breakthrough. For them to go backwards and not cast another actor of color kind of sucks," which is, I'm sure he's kind of referring to Mr. Chris Pratt, who is doing the voice of Chris Pratt in the new Mario movie. But Dalen, we'll go to you first, Dalen. What do you think about this, man? Does John Leguizamo have kind of a proper beef with this? Is this appropriate?
I understand his beef, but I think it's slightly misplaced. And I love John Leguizamo. He's been one of my favorite actors for years. I mean, like years, like back when he was like doing The Pest and stuff.
You're talking about back when he was Luigi, Dalen. That's what you're talking about.
No, even before Luigi, he did The Pest.
He's been in some decent movies.
Yeah, he's been in decent movies. He played in Spawn and stuff like that. He was in Gamer. People forgot about that, even though he was.
I think people forgot about
I
Gamer.
it's safe to assume people forgot about Gamer. With this is Sparta, man.
However, for the fact that it was 1993 and it was a Latino man that was able to actually get such a major role on the big screen, that was definitely a leap and a bound for a guy who took over an Italian's role. I mean, back then, people didn't care as much about whitewashing and all that good stuff. So at some
it wasn't
some
so
point,
good. It wasn't so good.
That's
grim. It was very grim.
It was very
obviously. It's not that by itself is not good, but the fact that John Leguizamo had people fighting for him to get this main role and be able to actually be there on the screen and be able to represent Latino people, I think that was an awesome thing. Now, an animated movie of Super Mario, they could have literally had anybody play these characters. I mean, who is playing Luigi? I personally don't know. The only people anybody was ever talking about in the past like couple of months has been Chris Pratt. So, I mean, is it a white man playing Luigi's voice? Because if
I think
it's
so.
a white man,
I think so too. I
think it's Charlie Day.
Yeah,
I think it's Charlie Day.
Day. Yeah,
I'll double check it.
I think so.
yeah, let me double check that. But yeah, that being said, if it was another live action and they decided to make it a white person, then yeah, that would be a slight problem. If they decided to make Luigi an Italian person, he wouldn't have this hiccup, would he? I mean, is Charlie Day Italian in any kind of way? I don't know.
From Philadelphia, potentially. I mean,
Hey, man, you've been watching that show way too much.
It's always funny.
Yeah.
Potentially it's from Philadelphia. Yeah, this one's a little tricky because I think I agree with you, Dalen. I was like, look, it's an animated movie. Anybody can voice these characters. Even Martinet, or what's his name? Charles Martinet? Is that his
Charles
name?
Martinet.
Like, yeah, he could have done it. I'm pretty sure with that last name, he might potentially be Italian. So they could have even had him voicing it. I think it's one of those things they want to attach a big name to the movie, right? But at the same time, I see stuff like The Little Mermaid, how they remade the Little Mermaid thing, and it's a black girl as a lead. I'm like, well, if you can change up the races of made-up characters, I feel like you could kind of do it across the board, right?
Yeah.
So in that sense, I'm kind of like, well, it's not just the white girl doing the Little Mermaid. It could be whoever. These are made up characters. Just like how people were mad at House of the Dragon. How was there black people then? They wouldn't have done it. It's like, you're talking about a made up show right now, right? You're talking about a made up point, a made up history, a made up show that they're like not being historically accurate.
A made up point, a made up history, and a made up world where they have dragons.
Where they have dragons. But it's a little tricky. But I feel, I think it's look. If John Leguizamo feels that way, I think it's fine. Otherwise, it's like Chris Pratt doesn't want to be offensive, so he will just be Chris Pratt when you hear him playing Mario. Luis, what do you think, man?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, you see where he's coming from. I get it, but if you wanted to, quote unquote, be truly, what do you call it, like progressive, then they would have cast an Italian voice actor. Like, I think it's a little misguided to say, like, well, they should have casted another Latino on there. And it's like, well, no, because you're talking about you want to keep pushing the needle forward, maybe you get an Italian to do it. So yeah, I mean, they got Mushroom Kingdom, here we come. Like, they got it all set, they got it all set. They're good to go. They're good to go.
Yes.
Yeah, by the way, that little like montage that they did of all the different languages for that, every other one is amazing except maybe like the English language one, right? Like I'm like, the Spanish one is beautiful, man. I was like, oh damn, this is a beautiful Mario. I want to watch this in Spanish. But yeah, I think he has a right to feel that way, and but it's an animated movie, man. It's an animated movie. Let Chris Pratt be, I suppose. We'll see.
That's like asking Christian Bale if it's bad that they're changing the color of Batman.
Racial, Dalen. The next thing we have on here is Supermassive's next anthology. It's a little bit of a spoiler, right, Dalen? I mean, we could have seen it at the end of the game if we had played through it, but it's gonna be set in space. Are you hyped for an anthology set in space in the Dark Pictures anthology?
Hey, with the fact that it's even going to be set in space, that by itself it gives me Jason X vibes right now. But
they haven't said anything, I don't think.
Oh no.
Oh, actually, maybe there's a trailer. There might be a trailer.
It literally hit me right in the middle of my sentence. Like, man, that makes me think of Jason X. That's terrible. But the thing that I'm actually most excited about when it comes to Supermassive is just before we finished playing House of Ashes, we looked up the next title that was coming up, and then we found out that they had 2 more phases of freaking Supermassive games coming out, and I'm just like, that's way too many games that they got prepared.
Yeah, and we'll play each one. We'll play each and every one, I feel. Luis, I feel like you're a recent Supermassive convert, or as far as their style of games. Are you hyped about this? Are we gonna play?
I mean, I've always liked the concept of them. I've never finished one. I definitely didn't finish what was it, Until Dawn, because those controls were not aging appropriately. But yeah, I've seen like playthroughs of them. I've always liked them. I just never played it because I didn't have anyone to play them with. But I'm hoping that this is more than just voting the game in space.
Yes.
But we will see.
Oh yeah, for these games, these have not had
more.
That issue.
They're more interactive. They're way more interactive.
Every one of the Dark Anthology games, they were all co-op online. You're running around at the same time, and that was the thing that I found beautiful. For Until Dawn, I don't think you could really have that. It was like couch co-op or not. But then when we hit that, what was the game that we had recently played? The game, the Quarry
voting.
Yeah, I hated that so much. It was just a huge step back for me.
Which is unfortunate because it's unfortunate because it's an incredible game, dude, to play. Like it's probably their best game actually, even considering the other co-op games. It's just, you got to play it solo. You actually have to be doing the actions in that game, But
then watch, they're gonna make a DLC for that game where you can play co-op, and we're gonna
I think they might be
too late.
Dang, you just told us they have a list of games and games and games. I feel like they're gonna move on. They're like, all right, we're moving on.
They're gonna move on.
But I will put this on wax. I do have their latest game. I got it in the mail the last couple of days. I think it's called The Devil's in Me or whatever. Me and you have played through most of the anthologies, all the anthologies, Dalen. But Luis, I'm willing to cheat on Dalen.
I'm willing to go back
if
and
you
play
got
those
the game.
games with you.
If you got Devil is in Me, I'm willing to co-op it with you if we must.
Hey
Okay.
man, I actually have. I have it on my list. I already bought God of War, even though it came in the mail. I purchased God of War immediately, and now I'm waiting for the devil inside me to show up in the mail.
Let's see. All right, next thing we have on here, Rockstar was apparently pitched a GTA movie that would have had Eminem starring in it and Tony Scott directing, and Rockstar said, nah. So they kind of turned that down rather quickly. Well, we don't know all the full details, but I figured Rockstar was like, get out of here. Get out of my office right now. We've seen enough of this. We're working on GTA Online, all right, and never working on GTA 6. But, Luis, what do you think about a potential movie that we could have gotten as far as, like, starring Eminem and Tony Scott helmed.
Yeah, I don't know how you pull that off in film format without making it like look cheesy. I think the reason that GTA works so well is because you're playing as these characters and all these things that happen while you're not even really playing the game, right? You're just like going from point A to point B, running into strangers, doing a stranger mission or whatever. So to get that sort of same feel in the movie, I don't know how difficult, how or easy that would be.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of with them on this decision. If it really was them just going nah.
Well, I
then-
think I think they have I think they have aspirations of like making these sort of like parody movies in the games, right? Like they're very cinematic, they're very well written. I think it wouldn't have been like let's just collapse the story of GTA 5 of the 3 characters and let's make that work. I think it would have been an original movie from, I don't know who's writing them now, the Hauser brothers, or at least one of them, right? I think one of them is still there. I think it would have been a matter of like they're gonna write it, but if someone's coming up to them, I'm assuming they have a script in front of them. It's like, get this trash out of here, man. We got something better, and it's interactive. And I caught that, Lisa, doing stranger missions, definitely doing stranger missions out there. But Dalen, what do you think? Could they have made this work?
I think they could have made it work simply if they had their writers do the script for the movie, and on top of that, they'd have Eminem in there, one of the hardest people in the industry, out there gang banging. But there's a problem with that.
What, Eminem is one of the hardest people out there, Dalen? Quote unquote, gang banging? Is that what you said?
No, there's a reason I did that. The reason I did that is because then he would be typecast as that particular type of person. I'm talking about Eminem specifically, and he doesn't need that image in theaters anyway.
Okay.
All right, that's just
Galen, this was the other way around though. They said no to Eminem.
They said no to Eminem. He wanted it. He wanted it.
Eminem wanted to do it?
Well, I mean, it was a project. It was collaborative. They're pitching it to Rockstar.
The persona of Eminem wanted it, or the actual person Marshall Mathers wanted to do this?
We'll never know, dude.
You guys you're truly multiple trulies in, Dale. You are multiple trulies. Right?
Well, no, I'm imagining. Remember Eminem's like first 2 albums and how psycho he was. That would have been amazing.
Marshall Mathers.
It would have been nice. I think that would have been nice.
That'd been crazy. It would have fit. The violence would have fit.
Yeah. Dalen, so what do you think? Now that you know the full story.
Hey, if Eminem was down for it, I'd still be like, nah, you shouldn't do that, because the typecasting portion of that is where it would get me. And plus, with as massive as GTA is, I would prefer it to be a series than a movie.
That would be pretty nice, actually.
It's just hard to have it all compact into one little area. You can't really tell a good story of GTA in an hour and a half. That's like trying to turn 26 episodes of The Avatar into a movie and expecting it to be good.
Well, look, I'm just glad. that this hard gangbanger isn't being typecast out there. All right, that's just what I'm glad about.
I mean, he's worried about his acting career, apparently.
Apparently, so he doesn't want to be typecast.
Yeah, like 20 years ago, dude.
Yeah, and now every time people think of Eminem in a movie, they only think of 8 Mile.
I never think about Eminem in movies.
That's true. I mean, and if you've only ever been
That's a sad statement.
Hey, if you've only ever been in one movie, what do you want?
I never think of 50 Cent in movies.
No, I think of Eminem in Blood in the Sand, man. That's what I think about 50 Cent in. That game was good, dude. If you guys never played that game, Blood in the Sand. I like how Dale. You know it's true.
I do.
Blood in the Sand was damn good, and it was cool.
I love that movie.
I
love that game.
It was basically a movie, man. It was basically a movie. The next thing we have on here, and then we'll get into what you've been playing. Josh Sawyer, he works over there at Obsidian. He made the game Pentiment, and he actually said that the game wouldn't have been possible without Game Pass. He said to Waypoint Radio, but this quote is via Eurogamer. He said, quote, "I never would have proposed making Pentiment without Game Pass. Like, I literally just wouldn't have done it. I just don't think it would have been possible. The old mentality of publishers and developers are generally focused on larger investments with higher ROI, and that's not the point in this environment, in this ecosystem. Game Pass is the only way in which I conceive Pentiment being valuable. For my own sake, making a game so different, I've completely shifted my thinking for Pentiment. It is so unusual, so niche. It's for a small audience. As long as the audience is into it, that's fine. Dale, you are correct in assuming this one was for you, because I've been on your Twitter nation and you've been talking Pentiment up, right?
I haven't even played the game.
You haven't even played it. What's happening? But all right, give me your thoughts anyway.
What is
Give me your thoughts anyways, Dale.
Like, I'm like remotely interested in playing this game, but I knew from like just looking at it and reading like what people were saying, I knew this was gonna score really high, because it's like one of those like focus indie projects that Obsidian, well, people that work at Obsidian love to make. And when they do that kind of focus interest kind of piece, they do really well. Like, they might not make all the like the most beloved triple A third person action kind of games, that like open world games that everyone's like really kind of gravitates towards, because those are easy to get into. And Pentiment is like the antithesis of that. And it's beautiful that it's doing really well. And he's right though. Like though this type of game would not have survived in like a Sony camp or something like that. It might have worked if he went up to like Annapurna Games or something and said like, "Here, I have this kind of like weird looking indie book game, and if could you fund me?" It'd been a lot of begging for something. He might have had to like crowd fund like this kind of game.
Yeah.
But with the possibility that Game Pass has, Game Pass is very flexible in how it curates its game and its game library. So it's really nice to see that he was able to make his dream come true with something like this. I don't know what Josh Sawyer's worked on before, but I'm sure he had this in the back of his mind for quite some time.
Well, and it's kind of like you mitigate the risk of it too, and the scope of it. It's like, look, I just want to make this tiny little game. Like, I don't want this like big expectation that I gotta sell a million copies, 2 million copies. It's like, Game Pass, man. Whoever plays it, plays it. And
you're right. You're right. The risk is definitely low, because they tried that with Grounded, and Grounded was like, it looks like it's not everyone's type of game, because it's like a survival first person kind of game. And however, the risk was relatively low, because it was made like on a smaller budget with a smaller part of the studio, and with limited resources, but it's still being played. Like, I think the player count for that is really high per day.
I mean, even people are like, game of the year. This is Pentiment is game of the year type of stuff, right? And that like thinking, but I think that comes with the expectations, right? That's like, this is on Game Pass. It looks really interesting. I don't have to pay for it, but let me get down with this, right? And I think that kind of brings so much attention to it that I think he's ultimately gonna be really, really stupidly successful. Because you have like when you had like the Games Arcade or Xbox Live Arcade with like Braid. It was like, it's just a tiny game or whatever. That guy became like a millionaire overnight, right? Or whatever. It is multi-millionaire. And it's kind of one of those things that like the scope is just enough. You're not like setting expectations so high that when people jump in, they're like, damn, this is a good game. And they'll like evangelize it, right? And they'll be like, yes, it's so good. Just click it. Just click on it, download it, and play it, right? But I thought you were playing it, Dale. But I do like that you kind of follow the situation, right? So Pentiment, have you guys heard about it, Dalen?
Nope,
Luis, have you guys heard about it?
No, not yet.
So,
but I want to play it now.
I'm not tinker with it. Dale hasn't
either. It's a very
either.
different kind of game.
Yeah.
It's a very different kind of game.
And apparently, like they even hired like somebody to do the font, and it was like, we've done so many fonts for this game, like out of any other project. Out of it.
Well, it
like probably has Comic Sans, Dalen. It probably has Comic Sans. It probably does. What happened, Dale? Go ahead before we move on.
I'm just saying, it's like the way that it's created in a way like those old Germanic printed books, like when the printing press was like first coming out. Like, it has those Gothic typefaces and Gothic sans type of thing, and you're playing like through a murder mystery kind of novel. That's how it works.
Okay, yeah.
I'm assuming.
And apparently, it's like a bit of a butt mash.
Times New Roman? Is that what you mean?
It's in there, I think, because there is time skipping in the game, but I can't tell you.
From what I understand, there's a little bit of a button masher as well. So it's a mix of a little bit. We just gotta play it. I gotta play it now. I gotta feel the the charge. Is that what it is, Dan? The charge or the responsibility of having to play, and I'll come back and talk. But I know there's something you
Hey,
and
man, you gotta hone in on the powers of your chia pet. Go.
I hope my powers have been increasing. That's all I can hope for. All right, but we'll go to what you've been playing. I know you and Deo have been playing the same game. I believe you guys have been playing the Rat Tail situation, right?
I
Do you
started.
do you kind of want to get into it real quick, Dylan? You what you've been experiencing, and then Deo.
Well, I know I partially talked with Luis about this kind of off the mic, but I started the game and I immediately felt it on the Xbox Series S of how they would not let me do the HD graphics.
Oh, okay. The speaker is finally letting you down, huh, Dylan? Okay.
For a moment there, it let me down. I was like, man, I loaded this up and I looked at the foliage of the whole area that was in this little cutscene. I was like, man, it's like those old paintings that we used to do as like a kid, where you took the sponge and did a bunch of colors for everything.
Okay.
That's what it was looking like.
to like blend
Yeah,
back.
it was like, man, no. I got
Speaker, why?
Speaker. Immediately went to graphics. I was like, no options, no. And then Luis was like, hey, man, put it on PC. I was like, oh. All right, I'm gonna have to reinstall on PC since it's on Game Pass. That's my option.
Damn, dude. Hey, Hey, Microsoft is definitely not gonna sponsor us, man. You're like, the speaker is a piece of trash. Go play your games on PC, because that's just
the one thing I will still give to the speaker is that even though it may not have the high-end graphics that everybody really wants, the fact is I could still play the game on the speaker.
Okay,
All right, so there are still going to be games that are going to be coming out specifically for the Series S and the Series X that eventually we will not be able to play on the one, because they're going the way that PS4 and PS5 did. They're trying to make it on both systems, and eventually they just got to stop doing it.
But this is supposed to be a current system, though, Dan, is what I'm trying to do. It's supposed to be... It shouldn't be like, let me run away to another...
Let me have a thing.
Let me run away to my personal computer that asks me for updates every 10 minutes. Every time I look at it, it wants a new update. You shouldn't have to run to that.
Just remind me I got to update my computer, so thanks.
Hey, every time we get off this podcast, my computer's like, can you update, please? I need it. I need an update. So, Deo, you got a little further. I think you've been talking about Plague Tale, right? The last
I finished it, actually.
Ooh, okay. No
snaps.
spoiler. How you feel overall? No spoiler version.
Overall, I'm very satisfied with what they did with the game. I'm surprised on what happened in the game.
I actually just have one question.
Hold on, stop.
Sure.
Hold on, give him a moment. Dalen,
No, go for it. Go for it.
Okay.
I only have one question. Do you get rat powers again?
Spoiler.
What?
Dalen, we just said the non-spoiler version. I talked to him off mic.
Not. I would say yes and no, because it's not like how you expected from the first game. If you played the first game and you know how the rat powers worked, it's not quite the same way.
Look how happy Dalen is right there.
Look at him.
Yeah,
Menacing.
I got my answer. Yeah.
Dale, you need to go off mic with these spoilers. So Dale, you dug the game, beginning to end.
I did. I wasn't. How do you say that? Like the game didn't score as high as I thought it would, and that is appropriate. Like if you look at the Metacritic score for it, where it's at right now is exactly where it needs to be, and that's because like the game looks amazing. But there are there are like these little bits of the game that don't flow well into each other. Some of the narrative is kind of weird. Like it's just these little niggles that like take you out of the environment and out of the gameplay. That I'm just like, oh, that's weird. They could have fixed that a little bit. But then they do all these little other things that are very surprising and like off the cuff kind of stuff. And you're just like, wow, that was an amazing moment that you don't really find in a lot of other games like this. So it's like a little bit up and down. It's that kind of thing. So if they worked on that a little bit, it would have scored higher for me. But I did rate it on my Twitter, and I think it's like the second or third highest rated game of the year for me right now, as far as releases.
What would you give it on a We Got Comps rating scale, like from 1 to 10?
1 to 10, I'd probably give it an 8.5, 8.5.
Okay. All right, that's pretty decent, man. That's a nice little score up there. And I know you have a spreadsheet somewhere. I don't know if you ever. Do you still have that spreadsheet? I know you shared that with me.
Yep.
Okay, that's all.
Yep. The rubric I use.
There's definitely a rubric out there, so I hope maybe he makes it available to requesters or something. Dalen, you had a question, I believe.
Not really a question. I'm just like, I love how Dale would just be coming out with words like last time he had hopium, this time he's like niggles. I'm like, what the hell's a niggle?
I've seen it though. I've seen it, Dan. It is a strange word, but it does exist. It does exist. It does exist.
Don't forget delineators.
Delineators. That's my favorite.
Do
Dude,
make up delineators.
do it.
Gothic Sans.
Nah, man. Gothic Sans. I didn't even catch that earlier. Gothic Sans. But yeah, no, I will say this, Dale. Every time I see one of those orange traffic cones, I'm like, no, got a delineator. It's a delineator. My bad brain. My bad brain.
My power is rising again.
What my power, it's while you're reading a book, like you're in your second sentence of the first page.
My eyes are closed and I'm reading the book.
My powers are rising. What else you been playing, Dale? What has been keeping you busy?
So I've been playing. So yeah, I finished Requiem, which is excellent. I played all of this game called Immortality, which came out like a month ago, I think it was, on Game Pass, and it just recently came out on Netflix. And I don't know if you guys have heard. Have you guys heard anything about it?
I saw some of your tweets and I had heard about it. It's kind of a modernized. What's that Sega game that they did back in the day? Night Trap.
Oh, Night Trap.
It's like a Night Trap-ish, but more. It looks a little more graphic. It looks a little more mature.
It's okay. So I would say, so the terms I would use, and these are the words that I used in my review, are voyeuristic, softcore porn, horror, snuff film, like those kind of terms. It's wild, dude. It's wild that they even like made this kind of thing. So the idea is it's based off of the previous work that this guy has done, called Her Story. And in Her Story, they gave you this whole situation where basically what happened. It's in the 90s, and you're part of this
that live action one with the videos, and you're going
yes,
through the whole.
You're in like an interrogation thing, right? So you have to type in the words, and like the trigger words will get you to like this other scene, which will relate to other stuff, and you have to figure out if she actually killed the person or not, right? It's the same kind of idea. But instead of typing in like a text field what the word you're thinking of, you're watching these clips and you're stopping the clip and clicking on that item. So if there's a scene of these actors and there's like it's so horribly acted bad on purpose. But like if there's a scene where it's like a cross is in the background or someone's holding an apple, you could click on those items and like an apple will relate to another scene where an apple is, or something fruit related or whatever. So there are essentially 3 actual movies in this entire game, and you're trying to unlock all these clips in different kind of order to figure out the entire story or the filmography of this one actress.
So it's your choose your own adventure type thing.
Kind of, but there's like this weird like supernatural element that happens, and I don't want to spoil it because it's kind of crazy and creepy at the same time.
Okay, interesting.
And like
that's a bad omen.
It's weird, it's wild, dude. It's so crazy. And like
you do recommend it though. You do recommend.
How long did it take you to really beat it?
Not for everyone.
Okay.
Not for everyone. It took me about like 6 hours of pointing and clicking. The nice thing is that you don't even have to like pay attention a lot of the time, because like you could watch something else and do you can watch it and then like do something else while you're playing the game.
Well, that doesn't sound very involved.
Well, see, the thing is, it's like you play as you're playing the game, you're watching these clips, and sometimes you have to rewatch them over and over again just to see if there's something in the scene that you
and you
missed.
Can't skip them or forward or nothing.
You can. It works like an editing, like an old school editing room where like you have like a knob and you turn it really fast to fast forward, back and forth, and then you could pause, and then you could like go into like this photo mode where like.
Is it like an investigation type thing then?
A little bit, yeah. It's more like that. I would say yes. Yeah, you're right. And it's really interesting, but like it's not for everybody. I would say that if you're not into like this kind of like murder mystery kind of thing,
softcore porn,
and it's more mature.
If you're into softcore porn, then it has gobs and gobs of it because there's breasts everywhere. I swear to God.
It's mature, right? Mature kind of.
Definitely mature. Like there's a lot of like weird stuff that happens in the game, and I won't go into if you're really interested in playing this. And I played it all solely on xCloud. And I played it on multiple devices. I played it on a tablet, my PC, and my Xbox. And so everything worked out completely fine. Mainly because like the gameplay is not really gameplay. It's more it's just controlled.
It's a bunch of FMVs.
Right? Yeah. So all it is like streaming. And then yeah, that worked really well. But I would not recommend it to everyone. I would say if I was to review it on our site, I would probably give it like a 7, maybe a
Okay.
6.5, 7,
Okay.
something like that.
That's all right. Not for everyone,
Not
but
for the squeamish.
not
Not
for the
for the
squeamish.
squeamish.
There's gonna be some boobage happening. What else you been playing, Dale?
Yeah, if you're afraid of boobs, don't play that game. And then the last one I've been playing, which is totally out of left field, that I started playing this again, is Mass Effect Andromeda, the horrid reboot or what, like
It
current
was like
gen
maybe
last
To the
gen
original
prequel
trilogy.
It might have
yeah.
been like a prequel or something, right? Or no?
What?
Or it was actually a sequel.
Nah,
It was actually
it's a sequel. I think
Yeah.
it's a sequel. I'm pretty sure.
Is it a pre-sequel?
Interesting.
No,
I went to
don't know.
Borderlands on you.
Dale, so Dale,
I
how
forget. I
do
don't
you
even
feel?
remember.
You had played it back when it originally came out, and you're
Yeah,
going
and
back
it was
to
garbage.
Yeah, it's
and
still. How is it
it-
now?
and it's
The
still
look
it's,
on your
it's
face.
it's like improved garbage. Like, I don't know what to say. It's like garbage you haven't put out to the curb yet. It's still in your house, so it's like it's okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I tried it on xCloud, and and the weird thing is it works nice on xCloud. I haven't really experienced like anything too crazy, but like I don't think I'm going to continue. I think I'm in my eighth hour of it, and I'm not going to continue anymore, mainly because like it's just getting too buggy, and I hate how the world looks. All the new characters look terrible,
I hate
and
how
the
this
voice
game
acting
plays.
and the sentence, it's just not fun.
Yeah.
And so with all these other newer games coming out, like God of War and all this
That's
stuff,
your
I think
time,
I'd
man.
rather
That's your
spend
time.
and Call of
Tim
Duty,
said,
I'd
it's
rather
just
spend my time
not
there.
fun.
Yeah, I remember.
Why
I don't
are you
remember.
playing it?
I don't remember too much of it, but yeah, I do remember playing Andromeda. I played like 1 or 2 hours, man. Like I think I was like in that opening scene. I was like, I'm out. Like this, I've seen enough.
It's bad.
I've seen enough. This
It's like
is-
really claustrophobic to play inside of it. It's, I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
well,
not right.
they're kind of rebooting it, right? I think they've mentioned as much that they're gonna kind of go back to the drawing board a little bit. I feel like as far as Master, because it was a really good series originally. You know, I mean, you had that car in space in the original that was like that. It was trash, but you know, Mass
Mako,
Effect, yeah. But it was still a good game. It was still like, and it was,
Right.
and the original was very much where it was like it's a full on RPG. And then, you know, with 2, it got a little more action. It got more fun. I feel.
Yeah,
like, with 2.
I mean, it was basically a spin-off of the old KOTOR series, and like KOTOR is awesome, and with Andromeda, it's like the furthest away it could possibly
From
be
anything
from those
good.
games.
From
and it's
anything
not.
good.
And that's what makes
From
it less
anything good.
interesting.
on
No,
a
it's
scale
terrible.
of Sonic 1 to Sonic 10 of it being a
Don't
Sonic
bring
problem.
Sonic into this. They
What,
have their own problems.
What on the Sonic scale? 10 is like the worst Sonic. We're talking Sonic 2006 where he kisses a human woman. Where is Andromeda on that scale from 1 to 10?
Unleashed? Sonic Unleashed? I would say?
That's a 7? No,
That's-
6.
Sounds like a 5.
that was
That's about a
07
5
on
down.
the-
Okay, so
5.
Mass Effect Andromeda on the Sonic scale. 5 out of 10.
Wasn't
5 out of 10.
Wait, Sonic Unleashed, wasn't that the one that had that silver Sonic in
Like
it?
a Wolverine or something going
No,
on.
that was also
2006.
a bad game.
That was 2006.
No,
Yeah, I know, that's what I
2006.
mean.
Oh, okay.
No. Sonic 2006 was, I think it was literally called Sonic the Hedgehog, I think.
Yeah. How about
And it was
Sonic
on
Sonic and the
360.
10 Rings, I think. or
Man,
something.
this is why I said
Sonic
don't
Tinker
bring
Rings.
Sonic into this.
Hey,
They
hey.
have their own Sonic issues. Leave them out of
All right, so look, we'll get on to Luis. What have you been playing? And on the Sonic scale, remember, a 10 is the worst Sonic.
He's
10,
trying
1
to
is the
piss
best
me off.
Sonic.
That's what he's
Ragnarok,
targeting me
so
right now.
far,
Carlos, I fucking
so
hate you.
far from what you've been playing of God of War Ragnarok, on the scale of 1 to 10 Sonics, 1 being-
Honestly, I don't think there is a possibility to put it on the Sonic scale because it's just so much better than any other.
and all that trash. That all that
Completely
trash.
valid point.
Yeah.
Valid point.
So how you been feeling?
Yeah, so
Love the scale.
I'm still in the early stages of the game, man. So last time I talked about this game, I said I'm about to reach like the first sort of turning point of the game, or at least that's what it felt like. I'm just past that turning point, man. So like I'm still, it's just it's so hard, man. It's
Yeah.
so hard. I have to
You
keep
walked into
Oh
Playing
yeah,
through.
you're on like the hardest level.
Yeah,
right?
you put it up
Yeah.
in immortal mode or something like
So
that.
this
He's
is
just gonna
no,
take
it's
him
just
a-
called Give Me God of War. That's what the difficulty is.
Now,
So yeah, I think I'm like
I
12, 13 hours in, and I just reached like the first. Basically, the story's ramping up now. Is what's going on for
I
me
feel
at
like-
least.
I feel like I'm gonna beat this game before you get halfway through it.
You might.
potentially. Now, Lise, so that, you know, no spoilers, of course, right? But that turning point that you referred to, it was worth it. It was like, damn, that's good. That's a nice turning point, or that's a nice
Um,
ramping up, or whatever you want to call
it's hard to correlate the two. I wouldn't necessarily correlate the amount of time I spent with what just happened in the story to like be worth it or not worth it. It's
Okay.
just for me, part of the game is dying and dying and dying and replaying and trying to get better. And I mean, it is paying off in that sense because I'm getting better to the point where like there's more often than not now, I'm entering areas where I'm cleaning it out in first try. Earlier on in the first stages when I was playing it, I was like every new set of enemies, I'm like, all right, how many times is it going to take me to get through this one?
Yeah.
So, and I mean that helps with like leveling up the abilities, leveling up Atreus's abilities, adding different what do they call them, totems or something like that on the weapons
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So
think they're
yeah, I
either
mean,
like
played the
a-
game
you-
down.
I know.
talking
What
about
are we
the
talking about?
runes.
Yeah, runes.
Yeah,
There you
talking
go,
about
the
runes.
runes. The runes.
Dalen's like, yeah, that sounds about right. Dude, I am.
Not relics runes.
I'm so hyped. Did you have anything else on that, Luis, or you're still dying?
Yeah,
and dying
so
and dying?
so no spoilers, but it has some nice twists and turns that I was not expecting. I'll just say that much.
Hey, we
And it's
gotta.
nice.
I feel like we gotta have a spoiler cast of that at some point because we're all gonna play it. I feel like that's one of the few I feel like games that we're all gonna play, right? But look, like I was mentioning here, I don't want to cheat the God of War 2018 edition. And I'm still playing through it, and I know there was a scene. I feel like it's gone long enough, Liz, but there's you fight a dragon in that game, right? And you say I still haven't seen the clip, but apparently there's a clip online, Liz, where they're like. What do they say on the
I'll
clip?
find it. I'll send it to you.
But what
right
do
now.
they say? It's like, this is why you play video games. I haven't seen the clip.
This is why we play video games. It's the guy on Twitch, live on stream, finishes that boss fight, gets up off his chair. This is why we play games. This is why we play games.
That is without seeing that clip yet. That's exactly how I felt, man. But it's such a like genius game that I'm very much. I need to beat this to get to Ragnarok. It's just sitting there. It's just tempting me. But it definitely is one of those things where it's a game where it takes even that humongous boss and humongous sceneries in the landscape where it's like, how do I defeat that? And you eventually are like, oh, that's how. That's how. They're so clever with making you feel powerful, but yet like not feeling like you want to whimper away, but you're like, nah, this game's gonna help me. It's gonna create these scenes, and it does. And even when
it's gonna give me the materials.
yes, it's gonna give me the tools I need to
battle.
destroy these amazing beings. I'm still playing through that.
Destroy.
Having a lot of fun. I'm having a lot of fun with this, so I can't wait for Ragnarok. The other thing, of course, that I keep playing is the touch-based Bayonetta 2. I'm using touch controls. But Dalen, I think we talked off mic, but to me it's like, dude, this is like a Dalen. Well, I don't know if it's a Dalen game. It's like if you like Devil May Cry.
He said that on
Bayonetta.
wax.
I'm still having fun with it. The touch controls at the very beginning, I thought it was like maybe it makes it too easy, but it doesn't, man. You still are kind of expected to dodge. You swipe to kind of dodge or whatever. So I'm still having fun with that at work, just on my breaks and lunches in case my boss is listening. But I'm still having a lot of fun with that game. Dude, the absurdity of that game and just like the creativity, like this is so
Over the top.
fucking stupid what I'm looking at, but I just can't look away. It's just incredible. The artistry of this absurdity that I'm looking at on this screen is, dude, you're surfing at some point. You're going down some tunnel and you're surfing and battling the gods as like there's waves all around you, and it's like, oh, it's incredible, man. This Bayonetta 2, by the way. So I'm kind of looking forward to Bayonetta 3. Indeed, I really want to get through Bayonetta 2 actually because I'm having so much fun that to me, Bayonetta 3, I haven't played it yet, but I feel like it could potentially be like a Game of the Year contender for me. That's how much fun I've been having with this franchise in the last couple days. And this one's a little closer to feeling tiny bit of cheap sometimes, but I feel like you mostly have control, right? It feels very close to like a Devil May Cry or very like Ninja Gaiden where it's like, oh, that was kind of my fault. But there's like little cheap moments in the game as well, right? Where I was like, okay, you didn't tell me like that was gonna happen. Like I wasn't sure. Sometimes you gotta die. You alright a couple times. Like okay, I get it now. But yeah, the battles are so epic. I finally did watch Cowboy Bebop, right, Dylan, a couple months ago. So like the Cowboy Bebop vibes of being in the menus of like, dude, I'm in Cowboy Bebop right now. Like it's just so incredible. Like the
You
little
said
jazz.
a couple of months ago. You binged watch it before the live action
I
show.
did. So that was a couple months ago. You know how
that was like a year
how
ago,
most of the
man.
world uses a couple. I feel like I'm correct. How I use a couple, it means two. Couple means two, but I feel like the rest of the world means multiple months.
You're forgiven. You have kids,
But,
so you're
yeah,
forgiven.
thank you very much.
No, don't
Thank you
give
very much.
him any leeway. This is Scarlet.
So actually, I do have a question, Dale. You've played through 1 and 2, right? You played enough to that Bayonetta 2 is rare. Like it's a rare game. Like it's hard to come by.
Yes.
You haven't played 3? You don't plan on getting towards to
No.
3? Okay. Oh
No, I have it too, and I have the. Is it here?
Look at him fading into his mist.
fading into the mist. There
I have the Masquerade edition
there
too.
You go. It's a little blurry, but we
I
can
cannot see that box.
but we can kind of see it.
Right.
But so the game is in there.
It's not making it any
Yeah,
better.
but so my problem is I wanted to do what you were doing, and I wanted to like recap because I'm really bad at remembering what happens in games. Like once I'm done with a game, it's like I just shut it off and like I'm on to the next one, and I very rarely remember what happens.
Yeah.
The
in a lot
mechanics
of
change
the-
depending on what game you're playing. You
Exactly.
can't
So
go from Bayonetta to Breath of the Wild and expect it to be
Dale,
the same.
Dale,
right.
you have played them though.
Exactly.
You have played 1 and 2.
I remember enjoying them a
Yeah.
lot. Yes, I remember 2 being a lot better than 1 in my opinion, and because there's some parts of 1 that were kind of annoying, and I like that like 2 was a fuller experience, like a bigger game. It was like it was longer too, so I enjoyed my time in it, and it was batshit crazy. I remember certain fights in that game,
Dude.
which were
It's
crazy.
like from one scene to the next. It's like I from what I understand, it's about the same length as the first one, maybe a little longer. But it's just like from one scene to the next, it's like, okay, what ridiculousness am I gonna see in this next encounter? And it's always like, this is so stupid, but I love it. I love it. I love dodging. I have to dodge. Okay, I know you're gonna attack me. Let me dodge real quick. So it's kind of one of those things where I've never been about those mechanics in games like parrying or dodging. This game has like made me like change in that where it's like
a convert.
Damn,
Bayonetta would do that.
But
because the frame for the frames for the dodging and everything, mechanics and everything, like it's satisfying when you pull it off, and it gets that. I remember when I was playing it, it was after like I was done with like the Ninja Gaiden series, and like I remember it's like, oh shoot, like it's muscle memory. I remember I have to do this or else I'm gonna get punished like in a certain way. So it was very satisfying relearning.
Yeah, if you get around to it, I don't know. Do you have the Switch version or the Wii U version of 2, or maybe even 3?
I have both.
Okay, so I'm interested to know how you feel like about touch controls. If you could kind of get around to that, like if
I'm actually interested. Like, how are you playing that? Isn't that much hard? Or don't your like wrists hurt? Or something?
Well, you're doing this, dude. You're doing a lot of this, a lot of tapping or whatever. Like I mentioned, I think last week was the reason I'm doing it is because I play at work. I take my Switch with me. I that's not as loud as click 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 like you're hearing just clicking of a button. But I was like, let me take the headphones off to not listen to the music. And I was like, oh, you still hear some tapping. But it's not as much as the button thing. But I feel like
it just sounds like you're tapping on your phone.
It sounds like you're tapping on your phone, so it's not very loud.
Yeah, but you're tapping hard on your phone.
I'm trying to survive out here. I'm trying to survive out here, man. So it's definitely one of those things that I was like, oh, the
climax mode, climax.
Yes. Yeah, see, this is a man.
Crazy.
That's part of the game. That's part of the game.
Man that's,
I know, but crazy.
This is a man that's played the Bayonetta series. This is the man that's played that. It's ridiculous,
He
man.
understands.
It's ridiculous. I need to get through Bayonetta 2 to really give Bayonetta 3 like a chance of like, oh, it could potentially be a game of the year. I don't know. I have to play it. Dalen, on the Sonic scale of 1 to 10, where is Sonic Frontiers? Because you've been playing this game, Sonic Frontiers. I feel like that's fair. We could put
on
it
a Sonic scale for a Sonic game that is Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic Frontiers. I'm not gonna give it. I'm not gonna give it an actual rating at this moment because I haven't.
No, Sonic scale isn't too
too
serious. Then you can put anything on a Sonic scale. Like, what did you eat for lunch? What is your lunch on the scale of 1 to 10 Sonics? Like, you can put anything on.
I got a 1 there. My Sonic is 1. It was. I had some Yoshi.
So that's super delicious. I suppose. Yeah.
So
you're using the scale correctly, also. So
yes, I remember you saying 10 is the worst. So thank you for making that clarification because you don't like to do that.
Oh, my back hurts.
Now, in regards to this Sonic, though, I'll make this brief. Is I don't like Sonic's voice. They got somebody. I'm like, I don't like your voice. I understand voice actors need work, but this guy, I'm like, he irritates me every time Sonic talks. But aside from the acting, which is actually pretty good in the actual acting Respect.
I look, I gotta tell you, Dan, the Sonic games, I never think acting. So I like that. That's your first point to bring
No,
up.
I'm
That
just
let
talking
me
about
talk about
voice
the
acting.
acting about a Sonic game.
I know, like Sonic 1, 2, 3, and maybe even Sonic Episode 4, you didn't actually have real talking in those games.
Man.
But once they hit 3D, everybody's talking.
Look,
Every time you get
my
a
bad,
3D
Dylan.
Sonic,
Dylan,
somebody's
my
gonna
bad. I
talk.
did this to myself, man. I did not mean
did.
for you to go down that rabbit hole. I mean, like what about the gameplay, man? How does the game play?
I was about to tell you that. Thanks for cutting off. So, in regards to actual gameplay, right after the beautiful cutscene that is Sonic, that looks like it came from PlayStation 3. As soon as they drop me into an actual stage, suddenly I'm seeing the actual graphics have actually popped on. So once you're in a
They
level,
actually
the
put the
graphics kick in.
yeah.
And I actually very much appreciated the level, and I assume that all the actual stages that you get to play just as beautifully as this one. I actually had fun playing that stage. I actually retried the first stage like 6 times because I was trying to get the S rank. They actually put the rank up there saying you got to beat it in a certain amount of time, you got to collect a certain amount of rings. It's kind of like playing New Super Mario Brothers.
Jalen, how
That's
dare
what it
you,
feels
man?
like.
Don't be bringing New Super Mario Brothers into...
That's a positive. No.
it's
No,
a
I mean it might be
positive
too
thing.
positive. What I'm saying, it might be too positive. For Sonic.
No, I mean, compared to the other Sonic's games and talking about this Sonic game, being in the actual stage was, for me, comparatively, just as good. Okay? However, once the stage was over, I got thrown into the open world. Suddenly I was bored. First thing I wanted to do was find the next stage, but I hadn't gotten to that point because there's a tip window every 5 steps. It was very frustrating to see that. At some point, I paused it to look at the map, and Jet.
We doxing people? I'm not. I don't edit, Dalen. That's in, dude. You straight up just doxed us, man.
It was, my bad. But Jet. He was watching me play the game, and when I hit that pause menu, he was like, "Up, another tip screen." I was like, "Son of a bitch!" And then it was me hitting pause. I was like, "Oh man, you had me so confused by that because so many tip screens would come up that even I thought it was a tip screen, and I'm the one who hit the button."
Well, remember, Dalen, this game is a global playtest, so you're just that's what you got to deal with. You know, that's what you got to deal with.
Hey man. The only thing I want to do is find the next stage. That's it. The stages is what it's about. But until you get to the stages, you're just kind of running around, sliding on stuff, trying to... Actually, the one other aspect of the game that I might end up liking is that you will actually level up Sonic and get new moves and upgrade them and stuff like that. I know they actually did mention that when they were talking about the game originally, but actually seeing it, I'm like, okay, I'm going to be able to get faster. I'm going to get new actual combo attacks. I'm going to have new Sonic power moves, like, the Sonic the Hedgehog movie.
Okay.
How he's got the blue quills and they go all lightning on him. I collected enough rings and suddenly I was supercharged and I was real confused, but I was moving super fast.
Dalen, when you saw the quills pop up in that movie, were you like, oh, shit? were you like mind blown? were you like mind blown?
Like, oh snaps! I did not expect them to take straight from the movie and throw.
Sonic's power has been increasing. This whole time. Damn.
So I'm looking forward to seeing where this level up system goes, and hopefully I'll be able to speak more on that next.
So do you feel like the director was right in telling you just don't understand, Dalen, and now you do understand after having played it?
No, I don't feel like the director properly said that, because as soon as I got to the open world, I was like, I feel the hate immediately. I mean, we didn't understand how they had set up the extra stages on the outside of fighting each individual world, but that open world, we all understood that it looked empty as hell, and it is empty as hell.
At release, it's empty as hell. Well, look, this episode was not empty as hell. If anything, we pushed it. It's another episode of Salient Points number 90. I am Carlos, the master of what, Dalen? The Chia Pets? I think you've Chia Petted me before.
Have I Chia Petted you before? Like all right, it was just the word that popped in my head, so I'll think.
But that's fine.
I will come up with one for you in advance.
All right, Dalen. Well, I'm Carlos Macias. Dalen Kirkwood up in the mountains, dealing with like negative 32 degrees apparently up in the mountain. So we hope
and dropping.
We hope you survive, Dalen. Thank you for joining us. Deo Blas.
Hey, Dale, go check your garage door. Make sure it's open.
Yeah,
Oh.
Deo Blas, make sure, you left people in the car, you left the garage door open, but you brought the Trulies in, though, so I appreciate that. Definitely priorities.
Thank you, Truly.
I think that's who we were really sponsored by.
Hey,
This
Deo,
week.
it's a little thank you, Truly, and it does a little twinkle.
It's empty.
Oh, man, it's gone,
It's
dude.
done.
That's why
And then
you
it's done.
double fist sometimes. Frazee and Dalen. Luis Mendez on the Wheels of Steel. Thank you, sir, for joining us again. Yeah, we'll see you guys next week. Keep eating them little wafers.
Happy Thanksgiving.
That's right. Yes. Happy Thanksgiving.